Hey everyone, we've got the first game from the first regional of the 2015 to the 2016 section of Pokemon Regionals here in the UK. We've got that here for you now. It was actually kind of annoying because, as you can see, it was me on the right having to play a good friend of mine, and we were playing a very similar deck list as well. So it was really unfortunate to be paired in round one. As you can see, there's symbol IQ Gaming. This was at the IQ Game Centre in Huddersfield, a really fantastic venue. They ran their first regional ever, and it was run really well. The judging staff was great, and yeah, I couldn't say a bad word about it, really. The other thing is, throughout some of these games, you'll notice some quite cool playmats. I mean, there's the Pokemon World Championships double playmat here. Obviously, this wasn't the World Championships, but you'll see some really cool playmats, which I'll link in the description below, even though they're probably, I don't think there was one in this one, but they are made by Helen Beale. If you, you know, look at the link below, you'll see her Facebook page. And I'm just plugging that here, though those are, you know, on necessarily in every video. And we're just waiting here to get set up, so I'm drawing for some reason. I guess we've already decided the flip. So that was a mulligan. I guess, I don't know. Have we flipped yet? Or was I just like... Yeah, I confuse myself sometimes. I think that might have just been showing Paul a hand. I don't know. I hadn't actually seemingly shuffled yet. But yeah, it took a while for this to start going, but that's because we were on stream. Wanted to make sure everything was right. Sorry about that. Terry Goodacre, of course, streaming, I believe, the YouTube channel I can link, not the YouTube channel, sorry, the Twitch channel I can link in the description below as well. I believe something like Kyoga Streams UK or something like that. We'll actually be streaming for possibly all the regionals for this section, and hopefully for all the others as well. I've noticed not too many people watch it, and I'm hoping with some of these games people will tune in a bit more. Hopefully we'll get some Swiss and Top Cut. The Top Cut was recorded in this as well, and there's some brilliant games in that. But yeah, just waiting for these two to start. It's kind of cool as well because Paul is a member of Team Cake, and we we like to record videos of us playing against each other, as you can probably tell from our other videos. But this was Paul covering up the World Championships logo there as well. This was actually at a tournament, which isn't, you know, another attempt to cover it up. Yeah, actually at a tournament, which doesn't happen too often. It's obviously very sad when it does, because you know, no one ever wants to play against a good friend. No one ever wants to play against a good friend round one. It does make the game a bit more fun, and you know, there's not going to be too much tension, so you can have a laugh and everything. But of course, the first regional, the first game, you really don't want to be against someone who you could screw out of points, or you could get screwed out of points by. But luckily neither of us are too salty or anything about our games, and we just played it as it comes. We're also playing a mirror match, so that should be kind of interesting, which I think is a reasonably technical mirror match. It should be all 3 games on here. I've shortened down everything and sped it up because it's a bit too... it's just way too slow otherwise. I mean, I've already sat here talking for 4 minutes before anything's happened. The camera is shaking about a bit. I mean, it was just propped on the table, and every movement we did move it. So apologies for that, but it's not too bad. My deck's just slightly out of range there, but I think maybe just about in. It should be fine. Hopefully you'll be able to see my discard path throughout. I'm recording this audio commentary without any editing as of yet. So if any little hiccups, I'll probably just leave those in, because no one else seems to do it quite as raw as this. And for some reason, a lot of other channels, not that I'm discrediting them, but they just do not. Swearing isn't part of the game with those, and I personally don't mind swearing. Like if the matter calls for it, I don't think it will be during this commentary. Nothing really will come up. It doesn't need it. But either way around, it's no big deal in my opinion. I've got some pretty cool sleeves there, the Walucha ones, which I don't know. I don't think they shuffled that well throughout the day because I didn't end up doing so well. But it doesn't matter anyway. Get the handshake. I think I'm going first there. I start Spritzy. Paul starts, really unfortunately, Giratina. Now, this is a, as I haven't actually mentioned yet, a Giratina, Aromatisse, Xerneas mirror match. And, of course, if you think about it, Giratina is weak to Fairy. Xerneas can attack for 100. It can just one-shot a Giratina. You really don't want to be attacking with that thing much. Especially since, against the Xerneas, you need to do 130 damage, but with a Muscle Band, you only do 120. I'm not sure if I sped this up too much, but it seems fine. Like, if it's too fast or too slow, anyone let me know, and I can adjust accordingly. I go for the Xerneas there, because in this mirror match, it's kind of all about getting a load of energy on the board, not taking knockouts with, say, Xerneas and Lugia, because we both run the one Lugia, and basically just beating your opponent's Lugia, and then they can't respond. Giratina, like, basically never comes into it in this matchup. It's just a bit too weak, as I previously said. Now, I mentioned other Xerneas. As I said, it's going to be really big. I've got a level ball in hand, but it looks like I'm doing some considering. No, instead I just play the Ultra Ball, discard a second Double Dragon Energy in a Giratina. It's going to have absolutely no use in this game, so if I can avoid putting it down, I will. Also, I need some bench space for Shaman. This deck, our version, did actually run 2 Shaman. Found you almost never wanted to put it down. Like, if you can set up and just Geomancy, that you're fine for that. And there I actually missed an energy, so that's kind of relevant. My version did run 8 Fairy Energy, 4 Double Dragon, and Paul's ran 1 less Fairy, but had Enhanced Hammer in its place. That's basically our only change. I think I ran 1 more AZ, and he ran a Shauna in place. One's more for power, one's more for consistency, I guess. So, level balls to get the Spritzy, Ultra Balls away an Engine, away Sander. I guess he's going for another Xerneas. Oh, he's going for a Shaman, okay. The thing about going second in this mirror is actually, if you do start Xerneas, you can get off the first Geomancy. Especially if your opponent misses an energy, you'll be at a huge advantage. But if you start anything other than Xerneas, you're still going to have to be Geomancying on turn 2. Unless you, you know, just get an AZ, Xerneas and energy. But then you won't be drawing too much on your first turn. So, Paul just puts the Fairy Energy on the bench Spritzy, because next turn he should be able to evolve to an Aromatisse, move the energy about, and Geomancy. And I, of course, didn't get an energy, but hopefully we'll manage it to get one this turn. And, oh, there, it looks like I did get one. Oh, no, sorry, that was a Trainer's Mail. Well, I've got the Fairy Garden, so the Fairy Garden you may as well put down in this matchup. Your opponent runs 4, I think we both ran 4, and you run 4, so the first one to get it out, that's 1 less dead card in your deck, and you're not really going to stop them at any point with the Fairy Garden. I might have discarded it there with Ultra Ball, and that might just be a level ball I'm playing. Getting another Aromatisse. I think I have one in hand as well. So I can get both Aromatisse down, and it really puts him off targeting the Aromatisse, because that's one way to win this matchup, is if you can target down the Aromatisse, either with Xerneas or Giratina. Of course, you'd rather not use Giratina, but if you can just target them down, you can remove their chance to move energy around and heal with AZ, and then you basically win the war of attacking with Lugia against their Xerneases, and you know, knock them out of energy. I Fairy Transfer there, I retreat Fairy Transfer, promote the one without the Muscle Band, because I don't want the one with Muscle Band taking a hit. I don't know if it's too relevant in this matchup, except, of course it is actually, it hits 120 on Shaman, so I'd rather not the Shaman take any damage. The Xerneas with Muscle Band take any damage. And there I just Geomancy, get some Fairy Energy on board. Of course, Paul's in a very disadvantageous position starting Giratina, because unless he can AZ it fairly quickly, it will be dragged up and just killed by a Xerneas. So there, he attaches to Fairy Energy, AZs the Shaman, puts it back down for 1, draws the Xerneas, but yeah, it doesn't. So used to having So used to having the Aromatisse, he attaches. He thinks he can move the energy, but unfortunately can't. And then just passes the turn. Unfortunately, his hand's quite dead. I take the Fairy Garden with the Trainer's Mail because I believe I'm just going to discard it this turn. And as you can see, actually, Paul's hand is mostly an energy in Giratina. He's shuffling it very quickly, but that's all it is. So he's got quite a dead hand that puts me in a quite good position. I attach the Shaman there and Muscle Band because... Oh, okay, for some reason I Sycamore there. I thought I was going to be Lysandering up the Spritzy with energy, but it turns out that's... that I didn't do that play for some reason. I'm not really sure why I put the energy. I mean, the energy I can move about, of course, but the Muscle Band on the Shaman. I think my thought here is I'm just going to hit the Xerneas for 50 and finish it off with 100 at some point. Preserving my energy is actually fine as well, because I can just put them down over the next few turns. It means I picked up the Shaman, so it's no longer a Rainbow Spear target with a Muscle Band. And hitting nice number 50 there actually is pretty useful, because I can then do 100 damage and knock out the Xerneas. Because Xerneas has that magic number 130, which is just so nice against many cards in this format. Many cards hit for 120, or lower numbers, 110, say with Mega Manectric. Paul's just doing some shuffling there. Just put the Fairy Garden the other side. Again, Trainer's Mail. We both run counts of 4 of Trainer's Mail in this deck. It's just so helpful for getting all your resources. You need like late game or mid to late game. You need consistent AZs to move your energy, pick up and heal. I could do a deck profile on this video, but it's quite standard, I think. So we've just built a list, a very unteched list, basically. I attach the energy there to Aromatisse. I think I'm just going to go for the either the Geomancy or the Rainbow Spear here. I think I'm probably just going to Rainbow Spear, because he's got 4 scattered energy, and doesn't look like he's getting Aromatisse anytime soon. That's really unfortunate for him, because and I actually didn't realise at the time what a good position this put me in. So I mean, I couldn't necessarily capitalise on it too much, because I'd still have to be dragging up the Spritzies. I drop a Lugia down because I'm going to be using it at some point. I don't want to just go for it yet, because if he then manages to get an Aromatisse, just puts his Lugia down. Okay, well, it looks like I do. Oh, of course, I can actually kill the Xerneas for 3 energy. So that's what ends up happening there. Of course, he does have a Lugia in hand. I think that was a bit foolhardy of me, because it now gives him a chance to get back in the game. I guess I took a risk-reward kind of play and saw he had no, you know, no Aromatisse, no way to move energy last turn, so I took the risk that he might not this turn as well. Of course, if he does drop down a Lugia with a Muscle Band and Aromatisse and whacks my Lugia, that's just game over right there for me, because that removes all my energy off the board and just puts me back to square one. I think it was actually a really bad play. Of course, there's no punish at all, which is kind of really sad, actually. I deserve to be punished for that play, and I managed to just keep the train going and take a knockout with Xerneas to take 2 prizes. That was a really silly play. I'm quite disappointed with myself, but I guess it just put me so far ahead that I just won. But not the correct play by any means. But sometimes, sadly, incorrect plays, or bad plays, plays that win you the game. Sometimes expecting to draw everything, so playing to draw everything and then drawing everything just happens. I mean, it may be like a 1% chance. Sometimes if you feel that's your only way to win, you should go for it. But definitely here it was not the case. I was in a very commanding position. I didn't need to risk anything. I'm very sorry, I have a constant cold, so I will be blowing my nose throughout these videos. Probably something that doesn't occur much in other channels, so something quite unique there for our now over 100 subscribers. They're just shuffling up for game 2. assume Paul's going first. I believe at this point we were actually discussing whether you pick to go first or second in the mirror. We had a discussion previously about it, but I figure you're probably just wanting to go first, because you get an energy drop. Though your opponent can get 3 on their first turn, it requires starting Xerneas. And though we run 4 Xerneas, 3 Giratina at the time, 3 Spritzy, 1 Lugia, 2 Shaman. Yeah, there wasn't any real guarantee of starting Xerneas. It's obviously the highest chance individually, but you have more than 8 basic Pokemon, so you have over half chance basically to be starting something else. And it just gives you the turn to retreat it, and then Geomancy. So it's unlikely your opponent's actually going to get 3 energy turn 1. If they do, of course, you're going to be behind, but you can, of course, Geomancy next turn. You'll always be behind in the Geomancy wars, but that might bait them to throw off the first Lugia, and if they do that, it's as bad as Mewtwo wars. You just respond with the Lugia. I mean, 4 energy and a Muscle Band, but still, if you respond with that Lugia, it puts them right out the game. And we know each other's lists at this point, so we know we're both only running 1 Lugia. And if you remove 4 energy off the board, there's just nothing they can do. Paul starts, puts a energy on the Spritzy, plays a Shauna. He had a pretty dodgy hand there of, I think, was it 3 versus Seeker and a Lysander for no target. So, yeah, just doing some shuffling up. We tend to pile shuffle between games if we have enough time. Especially the 7 pile is probably the best way to... oh my god. Is that 2 versus Seeker again off the trainer's mail, so he takes nothing. I mean, he did have a Shauna in the discard, but I assume he has a supporter. But yeah, the 7 pile is probably hardest to manipulate because it's co-prime with 60, whereas 6 is probably quite easy to manipulate since you know you're having each pile has 10 cards. I guess it's a bit easier because you can work out the position of all your cards. Of course, at no point I recommend doing anything like that at all, so you should just randomise your deck before you start a game. I had to put a Muscle Band on a Spritzy there, quite unfortunately. Oh, this is interesting actually. We played I played 2 of the Spritzy that does 10 damage, and it's not too big a deal, but if you hit with, say, 120 in the mirror, you can finish it up with a Spritzy. And losing 1 Spritzy isn't necessarily too bad, especially it's not worse than losing a Xerneas with 3 energy on it, for example. And pass the turn to Paul there. He puts energy on the Aromatisse and Shauna's. That's to Shauna again. If he doesn't get a Pokemon off this, he's probably still fine. I'd have to get an Aromatisse, a Lugia, Energy, and Muscle Band to hit the 100 on the Aromatisse. The camera evidently died at this point, so I'm just going to keep talking over it, see if anything changes or it comes back. I can remember what happens at this point. Just about. He either gets nothing else, or I think he got another bench Pokemon, but it didn't actually help him that much. I will just... Oh, there we go, come back. Okay, he got 2 bench Pokemon. Okay, and now some settings. Yeah, he got 2 bench Pokemon, but I remember this. He keeps both energy on the Aromatisse at the end of this turn. And okay, so he gets 6 for Shaman. I'll just talk about it as it comes. Takes the trainer's mail and just decides what to take out of it. His hand's okay, but I think he wants probably the Shauna, yeah. So it looks like he doesn't have a Fairy Garden, so he can't make the retreat Fairy Transfer play. And after drawing quite a few cards, 5 with Shauna and then 6 with the Shaman, you'd expect him to have something, but no, he just passes. I go a bit crazy here, looking for the Lugia, because if I get the Lugia and just shut off the knock out the Aromatisse here, I literally win the game. I more or less just win the game on the spot. So I Ultra Ball for it. I believe I Ultra Ball for it. I can't remember. we'll find out, because we'll see what I take. May have been prized. One thing I noticed is I prized Lugia numerous times in this tournament. Okay, it's here. So, unfortunately, I had to put that muscle band and the Aromatisse at the start. But if I can move the energy to the Lugia and get one of my other muscle bands this turn, I'll be in great shape. Nice Sycamore with a 0 card hand there. Do the standard high five. It looks like I've missed it, yeah. So I just dropped the Xerneas down. Looks like I'm just going to do a retreat Geomancy. It was very unfortunate for Paul that I got the first Geomancy off, because you know, going second, you only expect to really if you are the one starting Xerneas, and of course neither of us did, so he reasonably should get the first one, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. You can't always execute your game plan with these decks. It's kind of sad, actually, because you know, we want a game where you can always just draw what you need, but that's just not the way it works. We might put some old format games on here, such as the SP format, because in those games it was all about searching for the stuff you need, and then just having it. So you know, we're kind of more interested in formats like that. If you're not too focused on just pure drawing, you're probably having a bit of a better time, and it comes a bit more down to skill. It's not to belittle this format too much, but it is. There's quite a lot of, say, RNG, we might say, in terms of just, oh, I didn't happen to get this one card at this one time. And unfortunately, you have to build all decks in a certain way, or, you know, certain ways, and just hope you draw well. That's really how most tournaments go at this point. Not to sound too salty or anything. So, here again, I mean, now Paul can Geomancy. His hand doesn't look particularly amazing, but I think he might have an Ultra Ball at least. So yeah, he retreats the Aromatisse. Now he moves the energy, which is probably the best thing to do. He puts one on each Aromatisse, so I'm very unlikely to want to target them down. I've got 2 on a Xerneas, which is actually very hard to kill. You wouldn't really go about Lysandering a Xerneas to kill with a Lugia, as you can probably expect it to get hit straight back. He takes the Ultra Ball, goes for a Shaman here. No. I think he might feel like he has to go for Shaman here just to guarantee himself a bit of a better draw for next turn. He's just checking my discard pile, I assume for Lysanders, because then they're easy versus Seekers. I think both are in there from an unfortunate Sycamore, but if both are in there, that means, and say a couple of versus Seekers, that means I have only a few outs to Lysanders. And if I'm Lysandering Shamans, I have to do it at the end to win the game rather than mid-game, because unless I'm taking them out, I'm just wasting Lysanders, and even if I do take them out, I'm not killing their attackers. So I may go ahead in the prize race, but not ahead in the actual game state. Draws a double dragon there, and I think flashed it at me to show, you know, how useless that card is in this mirror. He puts 1 each on the Shamans. Now, at some point in this game, you know, I don't really want to spoil it, but I get very greedy, and I basically throw the game away. And the greed in this game is just attacking, you know, too much with Lugia. I play another Versus Seeker, so I believe that's 2. I actually Lysander the Aromatisse and go for the Rainbow Spear play. I'm not really sure about that, but it seems fine. If I can just knock out the other Aromatisse next turn, which I guess is how my hand must be. Must have another Versus Seeker to knock out another Aromatisse. And if I can do that, I probably can just sweep the game from there. A little bit of a problem here is if he comes in with the Lugia, he can actually just knock out my Xerneas. It leaves me kind of dry with only 2 energy. I can't really respond to the Lugia unless I play double colourless, and of course we know each other's lists, so that's not a not a possibility here. Oh, and in fact he just comes in. No, so it wasn't actually me getting greedy. I just put the Lugia down too early. and he just uses a Deep Hurricane and just straight knocks it out. And yeah, as I said, at this point, I basically cannot recover. The Lugia, there is a little trick though. The Lugia has 170 HP. Now, if I can hit with the Shaman with the Muscle Band, that does 50. Follow up with the Xerneas with a Muscle Band, that does 120. Or even, unfortunately, a Giratina with a Muscle Band. As you can see, I dropped the Giratina with Double Dragon. It's not something I ever really want to do in this matchup. Or any matchup, any matchup where I'm against Xerneas. There was another deck floating around that day that I don't believe used Aromatisse, but still Geomancied onto a Gardevoir. But yeah, unfortunately I have to bench the Giratina here, so it's actually just another target with the Lugia, and there's no way for me to remove the Lugia this turn. I also don't want to attack the Giratina, as it's a really easy knockout. As you can see, I put the Muscle Band on Shaman. It's really unfortunate that I had to attach a Double Dragon. I don't know if it's correct, because I may have drawn into a Fairy, and then I guess the Fairy may have mattered, but I end up having to do 50. And then seeing if I can follow it up later with 120. Actually, okay, yeah, I see the reasoning. If basically, if he continues the onslaught with Lugia, I can just attach an energy, go into Giratina, attach the Muscle Band in my hand, and oh well, no, that's out the window. But yeah, say if that happened, I could have done all that. Attach the Fairy Energy, knock out the Lugia, and just win the game from there. But unfortunately, just Slice Sanders the Giratina and basically knocks out that possibility. I'm left stranded with one energy. I think I just try and bring it back a little here. Just if I can Geomancy and not immediately get all my energy removed, I may be in okay shape. Though that said, with how many Fairy Energy I've played, discarded and everything this game, I don't believe the Geomancy can actually give me too much. Especially as I have, I believe, 1 or 2 Fairy Energy in my hand. So, yeah, I just decided to Geomancy to the Aromatisse, and yeah, the Xerneas. Unfortunately, I have no energy left in deck, so I just scooped the game. Yeah, this he actually had, I think, 2 Xerneas prized or something. Yeah, so we go to game 3 here. That was a bit of an unfortunate game for me. He got the Lugia really quickly. Well, not really quickly, but he got the Lugia to kill mine, and then he took away my only thing that could kill the Lugia the next turn, and that just puts me straight out of the game. It was obviously, what I think is just the right play in this kind of game. If you beat the Lugia with your Lugia, there's almost no way they can come back. And Paul played that completely right, and realised how to win. I hadn't actually really tested the mirror at this point, and I don't believe Paul had much either. So for him to spot that way is like quite an innovative way to win. The unfortunate thing kind of with this best of 3 games, although I prefer them in usual, to the usual best of 1, if you if you have a mirror match and you figure out how to win the game, or how to from previous testing, even if you do that, it's not and win 1 game, it's not a surprise to your opponent anymore, and they could potentially do that back to you twice. You may be more versed in how to do it, but if the cards fall in their favour, they'll do it. And yeah, so it's kind of good, kind of bad that you end up teaching your opponent the the way in which you win the game. So yeah, I don't know. He figured out how to win it there, and unfortunately for him, I'm not actually sure if the game 3 goes down to that, but I've definitely now learned that tactic if I hadn't considered it before. Of course, I guess with the Lugia, it's not too complicated to figure that one out, because we both know we run only 1 Lugia. And of course, removing 4 energy off the board by killing their Lugia or something that's attacking is actually just too strong. Also set it's kind of Mewtwo Wars, but I don't know. It's Mewtwo Wars in spirit, but not with the same energy counts. Looks like I have to start Lugia there, I believe. Paul now starts the Xerneas and a Fairy Energy. So that should put him in good shape. All I have to do is find a Fairy Energy this turn, and I can retreat the Lugia next turn. If I don't, if I say find a different energy, I can still put the Fairy Energy on the Lugia for next turn, retreat if I manage to get an Aromatisse, retreat, and then if I manage to get an Aromatisse, move the energy around. That's very unfortunate. It looks like my hand is bad enough that I have to play the Giratina and the Double Dragon. Maybe could have not risked that and just Sycamored, but I guess there might be some important cards in my hand that I just want to save. I get a Spritzy down at least, which is, you know, part of the plan in action to actually getting the Aromatisse and being able to move the energy. So even with that Double Dragon down turn 1, if I get a Fairy Energy next turn, Fairy Garden, Xerneas, and Aromatisse, which sounds like a bit much of an ask, but over time I should, you know, maybe even 2 turns, unfortunately, I should get that by. I believe maybe I'm being too conservative and don't want to discard the Aromatisse in my hand. Oh, no, I remember now. I had 2 Aromatisses in my hand. If I discard them both, that basically gives him a win condition he wouldn't otherwise have, which is, you know, just targeting down my 1 remaining Aromatisse and knocking it out. We actually run 3-3 for the reason that discarding one Aromatisse actually happens fairly often with Sycamores. I believe that's 2 in my hand. I can't quite see. That's what I remember from the game, though. This is now over a week ago, so I may be remembering it wrong. But I guess we'll see. So I think Paul's just doing some counts, deciding what to discard with Ultra Ball. Decides to not go back in, I believe, with Ultra Ball. Though he will be with Geomancy soon, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Oh no, I believe he's going for the Trainer's Mouth first, that's why. Of course, the order of like shuffling and everything matters quite a lot. Sometimes we you know, you might play a level ball or an Ultra Ball and just say, you know, hold it, don't shuffle my deck because I'm going to go straight back into the deck. And that's fine for most. You just shuffle your opponent's deck after they've done all the actions which requires going into their deck, because them changing the order of the cards doesn't matter if they're randomizing it anyway. But of course, Trainer's Mail relies on the top 4, so you can't have a fixed order on that. Yeah, sorry if any of this commentary is a little boring. After the time spent shuffling, I have to put some filler in. He plays a Shauna here and draws to 5. I think he's got Ultra Ball. Yeah, Ultra Ball, Fairy Garden, and Giratina. Giratina and Fairy Garden are really nice discards in this deck, because after you've got, in this mirror match, sorry, because after you've got the first one out, you don't need any more Fairy Garden, and you honestly do not want any Giratina really per game, unless you know, you're finishing off a Lugia that has all 4, you know, or all of their energy on it. I go for the Sycamore there. I wasn't really sure. I couldn't actually really see what was discarded. I'm going to assume for the benefit of my own doubt that it was an Aromatisse, because otherwise I was being way too conservative last turn. Unfortunately, it doesn't look here like I've got a Xerneas, so I can't get the Geomancy train going. And if you're behind on the Geomancy train, you have to put down a Giratina with Double Dragon. You're not really in a good shape. And there I actually just passed to the Shaman, because I just need to put something active to sponge a hit. I do expect Paul may just end up Geomancying this turn, though, so... And he still does need the Muscle Band to do 120 to Shaman. Accidentally shows me a Sycamore there, but at this point I don't know how much it matters. The other thing, by putting Shaman active, it can kind of maybe force some greed plays, where he just goes straight for the KO, lose an energy, and that might keep me okay in the energy race. Though it put me behind on prizes. If you win the energy race, you can actually generally win by, you know, 3, maybe 4 prizes. AZ's the Shaman, which I think's a nice thing to do. Nice little consequence of this deck, that you can basically play a Bianca in a turn by picking up a Shaman and playing it back down. He does take the knockout, which I'm not actually sure if it's that greedy, really, because it would put him so far ahead that it's basically a victory. I promote Lugia here. My option, I believe, I can hit for just 100 with it. Of course, he does have 3 energy down, so that would put me in a really bad shape if he just manages to get a his Lugia out. There, I just Sycamore a bunch of cards. Just let him look at the discard. Still no Xerneas, but I do have Trainer's Mail in my hand, and these 4 Trainer's Mail are really good for me now to get out Ultra Balls and other useful things. Fortunately, I have to take a Sycamore, so I'm again not in a particularly amazing shape. Oh no, I do have an Ultra Ball in my hand, that's great. So now I can Geomancy, though I'm a turn behind and 2 prizes behind. The fact that I can Geomancy and put have 4 energy total on the board may help me win the Lugia prize trade at the end of the game. So yeah, the Shaman was kind of a bait play to make him kill it, but I don't know how good or bad that really is. It was just what I thought at the time was the most worthwhile play. I actually attach. Okay, that's interesting. Oh no, this makes sense. I put the energy on the Spritzy and the Lugia because it's very likely this turn he can just Lysander Giratina and knock it out. As in comparison to getting Lugia, Muscle Band, and moving, and I believe another energy, and then knocking out my Lugia with a Lysander. So if I put the second energy on the Lugia, it should be safe. I also put the energy on the Spritzy because that now makes him have to pick between targeting down the Spritzy and the Lugia. The Spritzy and the Aromatisse, sorry. He goes level ball. Let's see what he gets. Just making considerations there. I think it just goes to the Spritzy and then discards it. This is another thing. After a while, you have Pokemon that you just don't need down because your bench is full, and none of the things are going to die because of AZ and other heals. So you can just pick up your Pokemon with AZ and then discard them with Sycamore or any other place like that. He puts the Muscle Band on the Shaman, then decides whether he's going to just discard everything. I believe he might have had a Shauna in there, so I don't know if that was worth it. Unfortunately, he just draws into a lot of Double Dragon energy. So, I can't remember if he's attached this turn. But, okay, so he just goes for the Geomancy. Only 1 energy. Now, really unfortunately for him, he's left 2 energy on the Xerneas. And, well, there's a Lugia on my board, and there's 4 energy. So I can kill the Xerneas, remove 2 energy off his board, leave him only with 2. The other thing is, even if he did have 3 energy, I've just seen that he's only Geomancied 1, and I believe he hasn't attached the previous turn, so that means neither in his hand nor deck is there a fairy energy. And unfortunately, the video decided to cut at that exact moment, so yeah, that's a bit annoying. It just cuts, but what happens is Paul has 3 energy prized, scoops the game there because he can't you know, come back in any way. A Lugia with 2 energy attacking my Lugia with 4 energy would only do 120, and then I'd be able to knock out his Lugia and remove the remaining energy. It was a bit of an unfortunate loss there, especially as it looked like he was ahead, but that's what happens sometimes if you have too many energy prized. Really unfortunate there, but overall I think well played games. I got quite greedy in game 1 actually, and honestly deserved to be punished. Shouldn't have yeah, really won that, but unfortunately the cards sometimes don't fall in place, and you don't get punished for really silly plays. But there you have it. There was another Team Cake video, and actually Team Cake versus Team Cake is always nice to see, because I believe we're all of fairly relatively similar skill level. I'm not sure who stands out above others really, but except Jack, of course, and well, Ben, and then all the rest. But yeah, though no, I think we're all competitive, and it's always going to be interesting games, even if they're mirror matches with players of fairly reasonable skill. It will come down to luck of the draw most of the time, though. and it's just the unfortunate way of Pokemon. But thanks for watching, and check out the IQ Games page, like I said. Check out Helen's custom mats. She actually does custom deck boxes and other things as well, though neither of us had them here on... yeah, mine's actually at home storing cards, which I'm deeply apologetic for. But no, we both played that reasonably well, and the venue is great. I'll probably be saying this in every single video I do of this, so just be prepared for that if you stuck around to the end here. And I don't know, fuck off. Nah, sorry, that's a bit too rude. I just had to swear at some point. Yeah, just enjoy our videos, and I'll see you guys another time. I'm just trying to get some videos out every couple of days because our subscriber count has gone up. And I'm really just waffling here, and I'm sorry about that. So I'll see you guys. Goodbye.